Okay, next let's actually make sounds. I have these sounds here ready: coin, game music, impact, jump. They're OGG files. So one thing we want to do here, we can see some redundancy here. Let's make a setup sounds method. And let's put this in here. Okay, so now, so if any sounds, okay, so in here, in toggle any sound, we'll say this dot setup sounds. And so if any sounds, we want to make sure that it's not muted. So we'll say if this dot mute, okay, so mute underscore mute is if it's muted or not. So if it is muted, we'll call this dot mute unmute, which will unmute it. Okay, and then to play the game music, we'll say this dot play music. It's called game music. And by default, it's using OGG for the extension. There's another param where you can pass in the extension to use, Wave, MP3, or whatever. But by default, it's using OGG. Okay, and so if it was muted, then play music would not play it. So we want to make sure it's unmuted and then play the game music. So for example, toggle any sound is happening when they click the music on or off button. So when they do that, if they've toggled it from off to on, then it would play the music. It would unmute it and play the music. Likewise, when they're saying music off, if it's not muted, we want to mute it. So if not muted, call mute unmute, which in this case it would be muting it. Okay, so we call setup sounds after any sounds has been changed, and we're also going to call it here as the title screen is set up. Setup sounds. So it'll try to play the music if any sounds, but if they haven't interacted with the page yet, then the music won't play. That's just how HTML5 sounds are. So to make sure that the music plays right as the game starts, we'll say this dot setup sounds right here also. So before start game happens right after they click the start button. Okay, and now we want to play a sound. Okay, first thing, let's do the jumping sound. Okay, we'll say if this dot player dot underscore vlog dot y is less than 0, and this dot player dot underscore vlog dot y is greater than -0.5. So in a small window, as long as they're up in the air, or their velocity has just gone upward a little bit. To play a sound, we say play sound jump. If it hasn't played this at all yet, if it hasn't loaded, it will load it and then play it first. Jump.og. By default, it's .og. Okay, so that's the jump. And then when they collect the coin, in this, we'll say this dot play sound coin. If they hit a spike, we'll say this dot play sound impact. Let's run the game. Okay, so music off. Okay. Now let's talk about saving the game so that even if they refresh the page, it'll remember. The game skeleton class has a local save method, which uses local storage to save. So we say this.local save. So in the level has changed, which means they've gone to a different level. But we don't know whether that's because they've never been there before, they've used level select, or gone back to the title screen and come back. So the way we're going to keep record is just using the level stars array. Okay, so when they do complete a level, it goes through this process, and as we set up earlier, and the level stars array holds how many stars for each scene. Okay, so we're going to save level stars. Okay, and let's call spike avoider level. Okay, that's what we call what we're saving, and then when we want to get it back, we use this same string. So we're gonna level stars.to string. Okay, so a string of that array is just going to be comma separated of each level. Okay, so when the level has changed, we're going to go ahead and save level stars. In initial setup, we'll say var saved equals this dot get local saved. Okay. That's what we're getting. Okay. And so we know that that is an array string. So now we'll say if saved, if we got something from that, we'll say current level equals, make sure that's a string, and split it by the comma. So we're saying however long level stars is therefore what level we're on. Okay, so we're going to have to go back in here and just make sure there's a 0 spot and let those not be defined yet. So right now there's the length of it is 1, right? So when the length of it is 2, that means that level 1 has been completed. It needed to have the 0 spot, but it didn't need to have the other spots necessarily. One other thing we want to do is change the background. Just again, in level has changed, we could say, let's change it for every other level will have a different kind of plain background. So if level is a multiple of 2, then let's say, yeah, because I know the first level that we needed it on to look different is level 3. So we'll just say if level is a multiple of 3. This is saying if level divided by 3 has no remainder. Right, so if it's a multiple of 3, this we're going to copy from okay, so the position of this other piece, this this background is at 16 and 1136. It's the full width and height of the game. Else, let's come back up here, because otherwise I'm going to put that other background, the normal background. Okay, so that's the original background with the clouds. This one is just the kind of plain one. Let's see. Okay, so with that, we have the backgrounds being changed sometimes. We have the local save. We just saved the level stars and we altered the level stars var to where it doesn't have all those pre-made, because now the way we're calculating which level it's saved to is to just get the level stars, save, and figure out how long it is. However long it is minus 1 is going to be the current level that was saved. One thing we have to do is move this below here because we're using current level right here. So that way the level, so even if they refresh the page, the level select will show all the levels that they've played already. When the player initially comes on the screen, we haven't told it what animation to be, so it doesn't know right away, right before it moves, it doesn't know what animation. So we have to say player animation dot current animation. Let's just say left. Okay, and then player animation dot animate, just to start it off. So that way initially it has an animation before it moves. We need to make sure that current level is never 0. So we say that or 1. And this here, with those two edits, that's all we needed to update, and the game is complete now.